Welcome to Mallet and Michelle on Dripping Springs with the famous Steve Mallet and Michelle.
No, it's Michelle Lewis, who's been given a caffeine pill, who will...
You're in for a treat, folks.
Welcome. I still have it in my mouth. As a matter of fact, it hasn't dissolved
yet. You
yet.
can't eat or chew gum while we're recording a podcast.
It's spicy.
It's not spicy. It's minty.
It's spicy.
It's minty.
It's spicy.
Hey, our guest today, Elissa Gallegos from Texas Pressed Flowers.
Yes.
Which I'm not sure I know much about that, other than you can throw them in a book sometimes and they get pressed. I'm sure there's something more technical about that.
There is, apparently, and I wish I had known that her company was here when I was going through this. So like Kendall's wedding bouquet, within 5 days, you take it to them and they can make a beautiful piece of art out of the bouquets or funeral flowers or something that is meant a lot to you.
Something you want to keep for forever.
Well, yeah, like, you know, the $1,500 wedding bouquet that she wore, she held for 20 minutes.
Michelle, that's just ridiculous.
Well, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but $1,500, yeah.
It was, that's just
a down payment on a Porsche.
That's not a down payment on a Porsche. That was just the bouquet. You know, did I tell you that after Kendall's wedding, I put it on the neighbors page and said, anybody that wants free flowers, come by, and I had all these little kids coming by and getting flowers for their mom and stuff.
Oh, that's cute.
It's really cute.
Oh, you did something nice for the community.
See? Wasn't I sweet?
Yeah.
Dang gummit.
Hey, spring break's coming up. And
what's that?
Yeah, I know. We don't get those anymore now, do we? No. Yeah, all you people that complain about having kids is like spring break is your special treat that we don't get anymore because our kids are all grown and moved out of the house. But I bet a lot of people are going to go to some of the Texas state parks over spring break.
Yes.
And some of them will be pretty crowded.
I'm sure Mustang Island will be one of the most visited state parks.
Actually, I have a list, and it's not on there.
Mustang Island isn't?
No.
That's where I spent a lot of my spring break.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the top 10, and I want to know how many of these you've been to. At number 10, Inks Lake.
Yep.
You've been there?
I've been there.
I've not been to Inks Lake.
It's one of the prettiest lakes in Texas.
That's what I hear. And I'd love to go. They had 232,000 visitors last year.
It's gorgeous. Right by Los Maples, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? No, San Antonio. Wait, hold on.
You better get that right. You might want to look it up.
Inks Lake is by Marble Falls, but it's gorgeous.
Okay. Guadalupe.
Yes.
River State Park.
Of course.
Yep, love that.
Not sober. I haven't been there sober, but I've been there.
Oh, wow. That might be the only way to go. They had 238,000 people last year. How about Dinosaur Valley State Park?
Yep, I've been there.
You've been there?
Uh-huh.
I've not been there. I don't even know where that is. Is that?
It's, I can see the little town. It's a teeny tiny little town. God, shoot. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's totally escaping me.
Brazos Bend State Park.
Where's that?
I don't know. You better look some of these up. Maybe I should look them up since it's my story. I don't know. It looks like it's maybe East Texas. There looks like a lot of moss in the trees. They had 272,000 visitors last year.
Dinosaur, Glen Rose.
Oh, Glen Rose. Yeah.
Yep.
This is one of my favorites. I haven't been to a lot of them, but Enchanted Rock, number 6. And I know that during spring break, don't expect to drive out there and just go into the park. You got to make reservations, and they do allow people to come in, but if you're not there first thing in the morning, you won't get in. Holly and I drove out there one year on the motorcycle, and they turned us away.
You can't even hardly go to any of these parks anymore without a reservation. I know, like Hamilton Pool. That's
true. Yeah. Enchanted Rock had 307,000 visitors last year.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Cedar Hill State Park. Never even heard of this one. That's number 5. That's 20 miles from downtown Dallas. They had 324,000 visitors last year. There's one real close to home, McKinney Falls.
Yep. McKinney. Oh, Los Maples is not by Inks Lake.
Where's it at?
Well, it is kind of by, but it isn't.
It's in Texas.
It's by Utopia. Concan.
Oh, okay.
Concan.
So that's west of here.
Down by Kerrville.
Okay.
Ish.
Oh, okay.
It's really pretty. It's gorgeous. You've never been to Los Maples?
Mm-mm.
It's so pretty in the fall. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Yeah. The leaves. That's where you want to see leaves change in Texas.
That's what I hear. I've seen pictures of it. So would we just do McKinney Falls?
McKinney Falls,
So
McKinney Falls.
the only time I've been there, I went there with Holly. It was dry. Like you couldn't even really get in the water. It looked like
It was McKinney Drop.
yeah, there was no falls whatsoever. Number 3, also one of my favorites, Palo Duro Canyon.
Yes. Oh, I've been there so many times.
It's beautiful.
So many times. That was one of my dad's favorite places.
It's gorgeous. It's the second largest canyon in the U.S.
Is it really?
Only behind the Grand Canyon. How wild is that?
You ever been to Judge Roy Bean's place?
No.
You ever heard of that?
I know. I've heard of Judge Roy Bean. There's a movie about that. Wasn't Steve McQueen in that?
I don't know. My dad would always take us to go see Judge Roy Bean, and then there's like a musical Texas that happens.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I haven't been to that show, but I've been in the canyon when that's going on. It seems pretty wild. I've done a couple of 50Ks there in the canyon, and I love it. It's just such a gorgeous place.
Have you ever been to Davis Mountains?
Nope. Oh. I've driven by them.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah. Number 2, Garner State Park.
Yes.
I've never been there.
You know what? When I was a kid, that was a place that a lot of my friends would go to all the time. Garner State Park, all the time. But my family wasn't really a camping family. They were more of like a Holiday Inn family.
Yeah. So then you might have gone to this one, Ray Roberts Lake State Park. That's number 1.
What?
Ray Roberts Lake State Park.
Ray Roberts.
It's near the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Oh, that would make sense. Only because it's a huge lake right around there.
Yeah, they had 885,000 visitors last year. It does look like a huge lake. Actually, from the picture, it looks like it's on the coast somewhere.
Well, Garner State Park, I can tell you, go to Zuba River Camp. That's my daughter-in-law's family.
Oh,
they
yeah.
own Zuba River Camp. Say it.
River?
Zuba River Camp.
Zuba River Camp. Well, anyway, you guys, when you're out there enjoying your spring breaks, try and take in some of those state parks, but get on the websites before and see if you can get a reservation, because I'm sure a lot of these places need reservations.
Yeah, it is crazy how nowadays you need, like what we were saying, you need reservations for everything.
I know,
right?
it's true. I didn't expect that, but it's true.
I don't think it's weird. So, Steve, do you think I brainwash you?
That's pretty funny. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about this. I wouldn't call it brainwashing. I would call it manipulation. And I wouldn't say that it's just something
malicious manipulation.
No. I think it's, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble. I think there are certain people that are very good at that. They do it for the right reasons to get people to be maybe their best, but they're not just, they have an intention for the things they do.
A hocus pocus?
I don't know. I'm not saying it's in a bad way.
Do we need to bring a therapist in here? So I'm a manipulator.
Not in a bad way. I actually, and I think I do it to you too. If I'm trying to motivate you, if you're having a bad day, sometimes I don't do it very well, but I might think, oh, dang it, Michelle, she's sitting at her desk and I need her to do this and that. And I might come over and go, hey, you doing okay? And
you know what that's called? That's called friendship, Steve.
Well, but you see what I mean? It's like you're trying to get something to happen. And so you take an approach to get something to happen.
Well, I think kind of what's going on in the world right now, it's not necessarily... I don't know. It's not like good intentions manipulation.
There's no, if you're talking about stuff that's going on in the media, there's no good intentions with that. Well, that's
just flat out brainwashing, right? Just flat out.
That's a big word. But
it is. And so Webster's dictionary says a forcible indoctrination to induce someone to give up basic political, social, religious beliefs and attitudes and to accept contrasting, regimented ideas. So just kind of look at the narrative of what's going on with today's newscast. Back in the day, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago, we couldn't talk about COVID without getting blasted. Couldn't even say true. COVID.
Actually, we would, if we'd have said some of the things that are common knowledge now back a couple years ago on this podcast, they would have removed us from the air.
Absolutely. I mean, just like whether it's conspiracy theories proven correct, we're going to talk about COVID, January 6th.
I know there's a lot of stuff coming out about January 6th that I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to that, but some of the stuff that's come out now that all of the videos available is actually pretty wild. And they made some of these people look like they were, storming the castle with rocks and sticks. And they were walking around the Capitol with cops just following them around, opening doors for them.
So
there's some weird stuff.
The media bias that's going on, balloons. Think about everything that people used to say about Twitter and all the social media platforms, and all of that has kind of come out true. One of the biggest ones, Dr. Fauci, right? Who I believe should be indicted. I believe the man.
There's a lot of stuff about COVID that turned out to be nothing like what they said in the beginning, including, the efficacy of the vaccines and that the vaccine was better than natural immunity. And if you got the vaccine, you wouldn't get sick. And I've got plenty of friends that have had four shots and they still have had COVID multiple times. Yeah. So I think part of what concerns me the most about all of this stuff going on is this intention to kill truth. Do you know what I mean? Where they want to change what we've all used to think, okay, these are facts in our daily lives. Now they're attacking even the basics of what we believe in and as a country and as individual human beings to make us doubt all of the things around us. And then they're implanting things out there to try and get us to think certain ways. I think people are pushing back on it now.
I think so. I think people's eyes are opening right now. In my stepfather, I've talked about this in the past. My stepfather was a former CIA agent. He's since passed, but brainwashing was kind of like a term that was coined in the 60s by the CIA just to kind of expose truth and just kind of look. I just totally lost my train of thought and just totally went
about brainwashing.
Yeah, just totally went off. I just got brainwashed.
You did, yeah. That's different. That's brain dead, Michelle. That's not brainwashed.
Totally brainwashed. But what's going on with the child grooming, right?
Yeah.
And the narrative that's going on with that, the defund the police, and now we're seeing the ramifications of defunding the police.
Well,
and that was never our intention.
That is actually coming back. There's a lot of left-run cities now that are going, wait, whoa, on defund the police and on the homelessness thing where they're realizing that it's been really bad for the city. People are leaving in droves and tourism is down. Yeah. And so they're, the truth has come home to roost. And which that's a segue to my next story. The people... There has to be some truths in life. You can't just all have our own truths. That is not a reality. No, there are some things that are facts.
Well, and like what I was saying earlier, it's like, are we truth tellers or are we labeled conspiracy theorists, right? And so there is a fine line between, what is factual, what is actual truth, and, what is so outlandish. But it's strange now, living in the world that we live in. It's like things that I thought, that would never happen. And now it's norm. It's the norm.
It actually, a couple years ago, before COVID, there was a lot of things that I thought, that'd never happen in this country. And then within a year, a lot of them did happen. It's kind of scary how fast things went.
It's downhill.
In the wrong. Well, I don't know if I'd say downhill, but in the wrong direction for sure. But that's sort of how life is. It's like a pendulum, right? So sometimes, maybe government gets a little out of control and then people go, whoa. Okay. That's, you're on the edge there. You're not doing what we wanted you to do. And then there's a correction. And then unfortunately it tends to go the other way sometimes. So I think maybe there was too much heavy-handed policing in some areas, and then so the pendulum started to swing, and it went all the way to let's defund the police and have social workers go out and answer domestic calls.
There's no bail,
which is ridiculous.
We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the next couple years how things play out.
Zombies. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, actually, you know what? If zombies happen, that would probably be a good thing for this country, because we would all go, I don't care if you're leftist, if you're right, if you're Christian, I don't care about all that. Let's just get together and fight the zombies.
True.
We need to have a little bit of that. So one of the good things that did come out of COVID, though, was people started to think about
washing their hands.
Washing their hands, yes, yes, and 6 feet circles. Yeah, stay 6 feet away from me because then you'll be safe. Was people started looking in their backyards. Remember, people were locked out, not you and me. I think we lasted 2 weeks and we came back to work, but people were locked in their houses and they were looking for things to do. Remember, people were making sourdough bread and, and one of the things that came out was people started looking in their backyards to have some backyard farming. Even these small little lots, city lots, people started, doing raised bed gardens. People started doing chickens.
Yeah.
And it's become a big thing now where people are having these chicken coops in their backyard. And the cost of eggs now is, I was just reading the other day, it's 60% higher this year than last year.
Wow.
It's the cost of a dozen eggs.
I couldn't have chickens because I think the dogs would think that the chickens are theirs.
Well, if you have
they
dogs, they don't stink.
The chickens?
They don't stink.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Chicken poop stinks and you make a mess.
If you have 45 chickens, maybe, yeah. But if you have a couple of chickens in the backyard,
they stink. I think chickens stink.
I don't think so.
It's just because you live with chickens. It's just because you live with chickens.
I don't live with chickens. They're in the backyard.
You live with chickens.
We have 2 chickens, and they don't stink.
Acclimated to
They're
the chicken
very clean.
Smell. You smell like chicken.
I think it tastes like chicken, isn't
it?
It
tastes like chicken.
We have Penelope and peanut butter, and they're real good layers. We get about a dozen eggs a week out of them.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Are you whoring
This
your
whole
chickens
story
out?
is just for your one-liners, Michelle.
You're
That's
whoring
all this
your
is.
chickens out. Okay, I want to hear about your laying chickens.
All right. So I was reading this story.
Now on stage 3, Penelope.
Okay. So there's people have been ordering chickens since 2020 when COVID locked down, and there's a place where people get. I'm having a hard time even doing this. This is a serious story, Michelle.
I want to hear your serious chicken story.
Okay, there's a hatchery called Cackle Hatchery, and they're booked months out on most of their breeds of chicken. So people are still ordering them and keeping these chickens in the backyard. And the average chicken will eat 83 pounds of scrap every year. So do
chickens eat chicken?
Unfortunately, yeah, they will.
They're zombie chickens.
No, they're not zombie chickens. But last night we had for dinner we had melon, we had strawberries, we had bananas.
Are you raising monkeys?
Shush, no. But all the extra, you cut the tops off the strawberries and the banana skins. We have a little pile in the backyard, kind of a compost pile.
They're like garbage disposals.
They are. They eat the banana peels.
And you're saying they don't stink.
They do not
They're
stink.
little garbage disposals.
They're not garbage disposals. But they walk around the yard. They eat the bugs. Those little mosquito, what are they?
Gnats?
No, those big ones that are out right now. We used to call them mosquito eaters when I was a kid. I don't know if they eat mosquitoes, but the chickens will eat those all in the yard. They'll eat bugs and ants. And so, they'll eat real mosquitoes. So keep your yard clean.
Not fake mosquitoes. They're like, they draw the line at fake mosquitoes.
I was talking compared to mosquito eaters. And typically because of the diet that backyard chickens have over, commercial chickens, the eggs are way more nutritious.
You said that your eggs are very yellow.
They're very yellow. They have a more mellow taste to them. You can totally tell the difference if you eat an HEB egg versus a backyard egg.
Don't be knocking my HEB eggs.
No, they're good eggs, but so most backyard eggs have 25% more vitamin E in them and 25 times the amount of omega-3 fatty acids in a backyard egg versus a commercial egg. So they're better for you. And some people will eat the chickens eventually, but
how many eggs do you get a day?
2. We get 2 a day.
And is it from each chicken?
We get 1 each from each chicken. Oh. And one Penelope lays the big brown ones like the HEB large eggs, and peanut butter lays the little bit smaller kind of off-white eggs. But there's a company now in Austin called Coops that it's like the Uber of backyard chicken care. They will. So if you have a coop and you're going to Europe for a week, you can call Coops and they'll send somebody over to take care of your chickens a couple times a day.
Oh.
Pet care is a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
I think it's actually brilliant. So, and I actually sent the link to Holly yesterday because she might want to do that when she retires. But it's becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraging people to do it. If you do it, make sure if you order a coop, a lot of people start out ordering a coop like from Wayfair or Amazon. Those things are crap.
Really?
They're crap. Yeah. So the first one we got from Wayfair, which was like $250, we had to reinforce it and put wire on the bottom because the biggest thing when you have in Texas, when you have chickens in your backyard, the predators go nuts. Well, you can get snakes, you can get foxes, you can get raccoons, you can get opossums. All those will go after your chickens.
Are they because they're delicious? Because chickens are delicious.
Well, they have eggs. The snakes are going in after the eggs, so you got to collect the eggs every day. But if you can build a coop for pretty cheap that will hold up with don't do just chicken wire because sometimes they can get through that. Predators can get through that. But I don't know if you have a yard and wherever you're located, you can do chickens. It's cool and they're fun. Actually, they're kind of we sit out in the backyard and watch them. They're actually kind of a hoot. Or a chirp. Or a cluck.
They're total clucking.
Yeah.
Clucking good times, Steve. So wildflower season is upon us. It's that time of the year again. And
bluebonnets are out.
Bluebonnets. You're starting to see a couple of them here and there.
There's a whole bunch of them on Mopac right now.
Which I love. Bluebonnet time, but the season runs from February to October here in Texas, but the best viewing time is in April, obviously, so we're about to get to premium level. But I thought because we're going to have pressed flowers on, Texas pressed flowers, we would talk about kind of my weird true facts about wildflowers. And there are about 5,000 species of native plants in Texas.
Okay.
2,700 of those are wildflowers.
You're kidding.
Not funny. All types of bluebonnets here in Texas are considered the state flower. There's pink ones and white ones, and obviously the blue ones. So there's all types of bluebonnets are. TxDOT buys and sows.
Sows.
I just said sows. I knew I was going to say it wrong.
Sows
I said sows.
I think sows are female pigs.
I was saying sows. I saw sows and I said sows. I did it. 30,000 pounds of wildflower seed each year.
Oh my gosh.
So that's crazy, right? I guess they just sit out the back of the truck and just throw them out there. That was the other thing I found very interesting about wildflower seeds. They're not buried in holes with dirt on top of them. They grow best when they're just scattered on top of the soil and just let to grow. Did you know that TxDOT delays mowing until after the great bloom?
I did know that.
Which is in late spring or early summer, and that rule goes all the way back to 1934. So, when you think, it's getting a little ratchet out there on the highways, they're waiting for
Was that Ladybird that I think we talked about that
Ladybird
once.
was in the 60s, so... Yeah.
I thought we talked about that at some point that came about because Ladybird wanted to keep the wildflowers along.
I think she just continued it, especially here in Texas. But one of the, folklore here in Texas is that it's illegal to pick wildflowers or bluebonnets. It's actually not, but don't pick them. It's not against the law. But most of these bluebonnets are on private property that you guys are trouncing around on. Or if you're stopping on the side of the highway, be careful because it is a highway.
We've talked about that before. And sometimes in this time of year, there are snakes underneath those
There
bluebonnets.
are snakes and again, like you're on private property.
Bumblebees.
Yeah, but you want them to go to seed, so you'll be able to enjoy them next year. Right. So I love the fact that I see people taking pictures in the bluebonnets, and we did it when our kids were little too.
We did too.
But
our favorite place to go see the wildflowers is Willow City Loop, out by north of Fredericksburg. When it's blooming, it's beautiful.
Well, you're right by Lost Maples, so that's further down. That's down. That's down. But it's just a gorgeous time of the year. I love it. The allergies, everything's going to start blooming, and we're all going to be sniffled. But let's get Elissa on here. And talk
maybe
about
she'll tell us about pressing some bluebonnets.
Yeah, true.
So, all right, we'll be right back.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallet Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at malletintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome, Elissa, with Texas Pressed Flowers. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, welcome to the show. I know nothing about Texas pressed flowers or pressed flowers in general.
You know flowers.
I know what flowers are.
Didn't you ever used to press anything when you were a kid? Did you even have a childhood? Did you have any fun when you were a kid?
I would take leaves out of the trees and put them in books and come back and look later.
So it's very similar, right? What's the process?
Yeah, just like that. And so that's kind of where we got started. We started with manual pressing of flowers, which is basically pressing the flowers between two pieces of wood and a lot of paper and cardboard to create ventilation.
Like a vice type device?
Yes, exactly. Huh. So my husband created a ton of those presses for me. And so that's where we originally started out with doing manual pressing of the flowers. And that would take about 3 weeks or so to get all the flowers pressed and dried so that they wouldn't mold or
that's what I was wondering, if they would mildew but are there certain flowers that you can press and certain ones that don't work? Because I see you brought something for us. There's a sunflower. Mm-hmm. I would think as big as the middle where all the seeds are, that would have been really hard because they're different layers. And
definitely. So as the process went along, we actually have changed our process from manual pressing to doing a combination of heat and manual pressing. Oh. So that kind of allows us to create these flowers that are pressed a lot quicker rather than the 3 week time. We actually are able to do it more, I'd say within about 2 hours for a whole wedding bouquet.
You're kidding. Mm-hmm. So how much heat? Are you talking about like putting them in an oven kind of thing? Or are you talking about hair dryer kind of heat?
So I can't disclose too much information about our proprietary process, but it is a combination of just a quick amount of heat and steam to...
It's an air fryer. They stick them in an air fryer.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
You know what? We should try that because I'm always interested in trying new processes. But after that, really before that, we're actually taking apart the flowers petal by petal. So this sunflower that you're looking at right now, every petal has been taken apart and put back on together using a neutral pH glue that isn't going to.
I got to see that. Hand me that.
It's kind of like what Chelsea did last week with her describing her eyelashes, lash by lash.
Lash by lash.
Now we're doing it with flowers. Look at the back of it,
That's
Steve.
That's crazy,
though.
Elissa. That is. Oh, yeah.
What made you decide to do this? Was it your own wedding bouquet that got you started in this, or what?
Exactly.
Really?
So I was a very crafty person growing up, very into crocheting and quilting and everything in between. I did ceramics in college, so just very crafty overall. So for whenever we got married, which was April of 2021.
So you're a newlywed.
Newlywed.
Congratulations.
Celebrating 2 years, April 22nd. But I wanted to do everything ourselves. We were saving money. Weddings are very expensive. I don't know if y'all have heard, but it's pricey out there.
Yeah.
So I just pretty much learned everything to create things for our wedding. And, with my wedding bouquet, it was becoming very popular to press your wedding bouquet and preserve it and keep it for years to come. And there wasn't anybody out here in the area that did it.
Yep, I can attest to that.
In the wedding capital of Texas, there was nobody else doing it. Yeah.
It's crazy. And with it kind of popping off on TikTok and Instagram and all the social medias, as a bride, you're getting filtered those ads, and you're like, I want to do that. So I was like, you know what, I want to do it, but I don't want to spend that money.
Yeah.
Because you have to ship it off.
That's what I discovered.
So
exactly.
my Instagram is not filled with that. Well. Just so you know. But so is it very expensive?
It can be. Thankfully, that's one thing that I've really focused on with Texas Pressed Flowers is making it budget friendly for anyone. So we have sizes from a 5x7 all the way up to a 16x20. So we can really fit any budget that a bride may have.
And your timeline is you need to get these bouquets within 5 or flowers within 5 days. You can't do anything with something that's already been dried.
Right. Right now, we're not able to do something with flowers that are already dried. There are artists that can. We just have not incorporated that yet into our business.
It is a big business. I mean, think about it, Steve,
Well,
the amount of money that is spent on those flowers, you want to be able to preserve them, right?
I'm turning into a curmudgeon because the amount of money spent on weddings it's got to be in the millions out here in Dripping Springs. It's insane. And you spend $15,000, $20,000 just on flowers.
And then you throw them away at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or you give them away to the little girl. I was just talking about this. I gave them away to my neighbor in my neighborhood. My daughter had the most flowers of all the weddings combined. Wow. But my second kiddo's wedding, his wedding was a lot of dried flowers, which was really neat. I started, again, seeing a lot of that on TikTok or Pinterest or whatever. But this is something that you can preserve. It's not only wedding bouquets, though. Like if you were to have, like my 30th wedding anniversary is coming up. And if my husband gave me something, maybe something
Todd,
I would.
That's a hint, Todd.
Something to preserve, or funeral flowers as well. I mean, it's just kind of preserving a little piece of memory.
In case when you kill me for the flowers?
I'm going to preserve your funeral flowers.
Because I said you were a manipulator?
That's it. I'm going to get a big one.
I used the wrong word.
What's the largest size you have?
4 foot by 8 foot.
That's right.
We can do custom.
Thank you. Can you put his face in the? Can we
right in the middle of the
Steve's
sunflower
face in the flowers? So this isn't something that you always did, though. You came from a nursing background.
Yes, I did, and and it's crazy leaving nursing and being at the bedside and creating something of my own. It was always something that I wanted to do, but being in the nursing background, it's so hard to leave.
Yeah.
You spend 4 years of your undergrad studying. I mean, nursing programs are very, very difficult.
Talk about being brainwashed. You're like fully immersed into the healthcare system, and then just everything that kind of especially over the last 3 years.
100%.
Yeah, living through that nightmare. But I think that you've found kind of like your creative outlet in this sense, where you really can't do that as much in bedside.
Yeah.
Right?
And, in bedside, we can still, be able to serve others. And I always say, I was serving others on their worst day. And, it's something I was really able to bring into this new business that I've created is, I'm not only serving people on their best day with weddings and, anniversaries and things like that, but I'm also helping, the grieving mom or the grieving wife of the person that they lost and that has passed. So I'm really able to incorporate those skills that I've been able to accumulate over in my nursing career at the bedside and bring it into the business.
Is there anything that you truly miss about being bedside that you just can't recreate by doing anything else?
Sure. And
human connection maybe, or?
I mean, with human connection, I've really been able to do that with these clients. I can't tell you the stories that they've told me and the obituaries that they give me because they just want me to know the story of the flowers and where they come from. And it's just really honoring for us to do that. And I don't talk about it too much, especially on like social media, and you don't see it on my website. But behind the wall, I'm seeing these flowers and I see people that have grieved over it. I'm seeing these flowers and I've seen people that have cried happy tears, and it's just so honoring to be able to do that.
I know how I would feel. Does it worry you that you might mess them up? Because you're talking about mold and, you're putting heat. Does it worry you that, oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. What if I don't do it right?
Now that we've done up to almost 500 orders.
Wow.
There's really no room.
The mess up process has been, was at the beginning.
Yeah. I've been there, done that. A lot of trial and error with HEB flowers. But now we've really streamlined our process. We have 6 employees that are very proficient in what they do, and are able to help me out with each order. And so it's been great.
Now that you have 6 employees, are you doing much of the pressing yourself? And it looks like a multi-step process. You're pressing them and then you're arranging them in these frames. So are you doing much of that yourself now?
So actually, I've finally gotten to the point where now I no longer press the flowers. But like you said, there is a process, and I know you asked me about it earlier. But with the deassembling of the bouquet,
just from getting it in, to talk about like it comes in FedEx or however,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Michelle walks in with my flowers from my funeral, and what happens?
Wait, first say I'm sorry for your loss.
She'll laugh just like that.
But yeah, so the way that we get the flowers, you can either hand deliver the flowers to us, coming into our office during our office hours and, creating an appointment and things like that, or you can ship it to us via FedEx, UPS, or USPS. And we require overnight shipping. So once those flowers get to us, however they do, we automatically take them to the back where they're going to be disassembled petal by petal, leaf by leaf, and pressed. Like I said, it takes about 2 hours or so per order. And then we put it away. And so the way that we put it away is it goes into like a little bin where it continues that drying process and just ensures that we're not going to have any type of molding or decomposing or anything like that of the flowers. So it sits there for about 2.5 months before we get to it again. Wow. Yep. So we're actually currently working on flowers from November right now. So once we get past that about 2.5 month mark, we're going to reassemble those flowers. So like I said, we use a neutral pH glue, and we're going to just piece everything back together just as it would have been beforehand.
Do you take pictures of them when they're first brought in so that you can put them back the way they came in?
I do, yeah. And that's just to ensure that we have all the flowers correct and that, that they're going to look similar to the bouquet. Not exactly, because that's not really how we design it, but similar. And
how do you take apart a rose piece? Are you taking all of the petals out of the rose and then? Yep. Wow.
Petal by petal for roses. Now every flower is going to be different. We don't pluck every flower. In front of you, these two are zinnias right here, and so those we actually keep all together. We don't go petal by petal just because those petals are so tiny. But that's a peony right there, that purple one, and so that one's petal by petal. Sunflowers petal by petal. Roses, and so it just depends on the flower.
I don't have the patience for that.
No, you don't have the patience for a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah,
definitely
that's true.
That is pretty amazing and very creative.
How'd you learn this process? Was it just trial and error, or was there YouTube videos? How'd you learn?
Yep. So I actually took a class. I took 2 classes from a professional preservationist.
Wow.
Not many people know about that, but it is an art form, kind of just a larger type of art form, not like being an artist of sorts of like painting and drawing and things like that, but actually pressing flowers is the art form, and she's a great and very impressive artist. Her business name is Modern Press Flowers, and she has classes on her website that you can purchase and be a part of, or sometimes she has live ones as well. And so I've joined 2 of those to just overall learn the process, and that's kind of how I started getting into it with manual pressing. Before I kind of twisted it up and made my own process out of it.
And did you have a big investment when you started this out, like for tools? Doesn't sound like it.
So no,
Your husband made the presses. That sounds like probably some of the biggest stuff.
Yeah. So even before, really, yeah. So we made 1 press overall, and I stayed with that 1 press for first few months into the business before I needed more whenever we started getting busier. But the overall investment was very, very low. We don't have any debt. We're profitable. Yeah. I would say it was probably around $200, $300 just overall with all the flowers and just equipment
and
before
learning. But if you figure in the time that you had to learn how to do it, it starts to add up.
I'm going to open a business, and I'm going to call it Texas Press Steve's Face.
Just right between the glass. So now it sounds like you're more managing than pressing flowers. How was that transition?
It's difficult. It's difficult to manage people.
Yes.
Steve. He's like blinking twice. Help.
And so it's taken some trial and error to get, a great team of people that work well together, that work well with me, and especially learning this process that's my own. And so that's actually probably been the hardest part, is letting go of this process that I created. I had my hand in every step of the process for the first year, maybe a little bit over a year. And it's hard to let go and let somebody else do it. But overall, just because I do have such a great team, it's not been as difficult as I think it could be.
Who would have thought that when you first started college, and I know from my daughter-in-law, who's an ICU nurse as well, she had her eye on the prize. She couldn't think of anything else. It's just nurse. She lived, slept, breathed, ate nursing. And now for you to kind of step out of that role, and now you are a business owner. yourself. You're not only having to manage other people, but having to manage your own time instead of being dictated. I think that can kind of be the biggest transition to where, you have, all the sets of rules and regulations that you have to follow, protocols that you have to follow within the nursing career. And now you're like, oh, I make the rules, right? I make the rules and I'm setting those up for my team. Do you think that was a big shock for you, just kind of going to managing yourself versus...
Oh, definitely. I mean, just moving from the nursing profession overall, where, as y'all were talking about before, being brainwashed, I almost felt like I was brainwashed in this profession of like, nursing is life. It's your future. It's the only thing you have. You are nursing. And whenever I actually...
Hero.
A hero. Yeah, especially during the pandemic, I felt guilty at times during the pandemic. I went and did a COVID assignment just because I was so guilty. I was like, I'm a nurse. I'm an ICU trained nurse. I need to go do this. I need to go help these people. And I did, and it was amazing and it was humbling. But there was a point that I hit in my career and I was like, you know what? My morals don't really line up with the morals of the hospital and the healthcare system anymore. And, I remember telling my supervisor who was a doctor, and she was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do next? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this business. And they just couldn't see it.
But that you were crazy.
They thought I was crazy, and I did have some great nurses that were beside me that was like, I think anything that you do will be successful. And that was so uplifting. But then, you have the other people that are just like, it's not nursing though. That's all you know. Yeah. That's all you are, is a nurse. And I was like, oh, I'm just so much more than that.
How many people get pigeonholed like that in their lives, and they're doing something that they hate, but it's their stream of income, and they never leave whatever comfort zone that is? What advice do you have for somebody that's maybe living that? They've got this dream to be an artist or a musician, or what advice would you give somebody that's struggling with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things of just taking a risk. You really have to just step out of the bounds and be like, if I truly believe in this, if this brings me fulfillment, if this is my passion, then I'm going to give my all into it. And I really can't talk about this too much without discussing my faith, because really believing in God's provision throughout this whole process, I wouldn't be here.
And so, that's cool.
Yeah. And then also having, like what you were saying earlier, your supportive husband, he's the one that kind of did these
he's the one
presses.
That reached out to us and suggested that you come on.
Yeah. He's your biggest fan.
Oh my gosh. He is my biggest fan alongside my mother. They just believe in me so much. My husband does run a lot of things on the back end of the business, and I'm so thankful for that, because I am not a business girl. I did not go to school for business.
You're learning,
Never
aren't
learned.
you?
I have learned. I have watched YouTube videos.
The good old YouTube videos.
And I actually found out I love accounting. I love the finance side of things. I mean, I'm very...
that's the part I hate.
Well, that's the part. I'm very analytical, and that's where part of my nursing background also comes into play. And it's just been so amazing having that support system on the hard days. Because there's a lot of hard days where I'm tired and I'm like, I should just close it. I should just end it.
Well, why?
I've been doing real estate for 20 years, and I have about one of those a week.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. And luckily, the other 4 days are good. And
That's true.
And you love it. So.
Yeah.
What brought you here to Little Old Dripping Springs? I know you didn't grow up here. You're from Franklin, Texas. Is that where you grew up?
No, so I'm actually from a little town called LaPorte, Texas.
Oh, LaPorte, but you just bought property.
We did just buy property, as an investment. But so I'm from a little town of LaPorte, Texas, which is in the southeast side of Houston. So right along the coast. My family's house is about a 5-minute walk to the ocean.
Oh, wow.
So just, a really, I want to say beautiful, but many people don't believe it's a very beautiful area because it is the Galveston Bay.
Yeah, it is the Galveston.
It's a bit brown, and the town is a bit stinky. A lot of petrochemical
Come to us, brown and stinky. Yeah, you're not on the tourist part. It's beautiful.
But I love it, and I just love going back and seeing the water. It just reminds me of home. Because it was at one point, but after going to college in Belton at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor, I lived there for a while and worked in the hospital there. Then I moved to Austin after meeting my husband and worked at Dell Children's. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we got engaged, and life happens, and we're like, I guess it's time to buy a house. So thankfully, the time that we were planning on buying a house was November of 2020. So right before the boom.
Yeah.
So really an act of faith with us coming here because we put our name on so many lists of building a house. We were on many, many lists. We were, number 50. We were number 100.
I remember those.
At the bottom. But thankfully, my husband has a sales background, and he made friends with the house builder guy, and he moved us up on that list because we said, you call us, we are going to sign the contract tomorrow. And so that's what happened. And so we really just got lucky and ending up here in Dripping because it was kind of just like a gamble.
Yeah.
We were putting our name everywhere.
What do you think about Dripping now that you're here, now that you're a resident and you're living and breathing?
Is it brown and stinky?
Is it brown and stinky, all the dripping nights that we do?
The exact opposite, because let me tell you, just seeing the hills as I'm driving throughout, it just, I don't know, it just brings a sense of calmness to me. But I won't lie. I mean, me and my husband we're young. I'm in my late 20s and he's in his early 30s. And it was a little bit difficult moving here at first because there's not many in the demographic of us.
Yeah.
Not many of the younger that doesn't have kids yet.
That's changing though.
My son just bought I'll introduce you to my son and his wife.
But thankfully we were able to get involved with the church that does have, some of that demographic and being able to create a life group with them and be friends and Bible study. And so it's really...
You created your own fellowship.
We created our own, yeah.
Where
now
do you go to
like
church?
Home. We go to Life Dripping Springs.
Oh, okay, yeah. We visited there a few times. That's a great church.
Yeah.
We've had Brock on the podcast.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Brock was on early.
Very cool.
Early in the beginning, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Yeah, he was a good one.
But yeah, I know what you're saying because my son, he was always like, I'm never moving back to Dripping Springs because, he grew up here.
Sure.
And he just closed on his house last week. And one of the things he said right before he closed on his house was, I hope that my neighborhood just doesn't have a bunch of retiree Karens, is what he said. And they're just going to yell at me all the time, whatever. And he's discovered that the little neighborhood he's bought, which is back here in Big Sky, is a lot of people similar to him, late 20s, early 30s, first time home. They don't have kids yet, or they're just starting to have children. And he's starting to discover a part of Dripping Springs that he totally never really paid attention to, like the Mercer Street little, what is that little area, like where Grolix is, that whole little complex right there.
Merchant Center or something.
Yeah, Merchants. And he's loving it. He's like, oh, this is perfect. Because, before in Austin, he'd have to take Ubers everywhere. Sure. And now he's like, oh, I could just literally just walk down with my friends. I'm like, that's the cool part, is being a kid from Drip, coming back as an adult and starting to see, hey, this town's worth raising my family in, so I like, and we're not brown and stinky. There's
definitely.
On your bio, you said that your dad worked at NASA.
Yep.
Did you get to go visit?
I distinctly, this was years ago. I actually have a line of family members that have worked at NASA. I was like, no longer. I don't think I have any more family members there now. But I mostly remember they used to have a hot air balloon festival, and so we would be let in through like a back gate, and because he had a badge, and we could park up close,
that's cool.
And they would light up these hot air balloons, and we would get right up next to them, and I'm sure they allowed for rides and things like that, but we never did that. And it was just, I remember just being there and it just being so cool, and even just the hot air balloons, I was like, ooh, this is so futuristic, thinking of NASA in the way that it is. But I never got to go inside. They're pretty secretive on
NASA.
Those kind of things.
I don't think it has the fame now that it had when I was growing up. NASA was like, man, that's spaceships and rockets.
You'd say, you're not a rocket scientist. And it was like, oh yeah, I'm actually a rocket scientist.
I'm actually a rocket scientist.
I was like, SpaceX has kind of given NASA a new life.
Oh
recently,
yeah, that's the sexier version of NASA. Is SpaceX.
Right. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Where are you getting most of your business for Texas Pressed Flowers?
Yep. So surprisingly enough, about 60% of our business comes from Google.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? People Googling pressed flowers.
Us. Yeah. And so that's been pretty amazing because it really has worked. Google ads have really worked for any small business out there. Google ads are definitely the way to go. But we do word of mouth has been pretty big, especially out here, being in the wedding capital of Texas. Word of mouth is huge throughout venues and florists and event planners. We've really created great relationships with a lot of them, and so they all recommend us, which has been amazing.
How did you set those up? Did you just go visit them?
So actually, the way that the business even started was that I just cold emailed a ton, like probably 1,000 different vendors out in the Dripping Springs, Austin, Texas area. And so that is how we got our first order.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
On the Google ads, how much are you spending on Google ads per month, you think?
So I believe we're about at $400 a month.
Okay. And that's paying off big for you.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because in what we do, that seems to be a complete waste of money because everybody knows 12 real estate agents. So,
I guess Googling real estate agents versus something
a lot
that's
different than press flowers in Dripping Springs or press flowers in Austin.
I like now that when you Google podcast Dripping Springs, we're the first one. Yeah. We're the only one that
only
pops up.
Only ones I know. I know there's more, but
we're the only ones. We're the only ones worth listening to. We're the OG podcast here in Dripping Springs.
Do you do much social media?
So at the moment we do. We're trying to. You know, I'm a millennial, and
I was going to say you must be a whiz at social media.
I mean, I'm trying. I'm doing my best, but thankfully, to my best friend, her name's Savannah. She is a Dripping Springs local. Actually, she doesn't live in Dripping right now, but she was my roommate in college, and that's how I even heard about Dripping Springs. She just started a marketing business called Poppy Rose Marketing, and
I think I know who you're talking about.
And
of course you do.
Yes, I
do. And she is about to hopefully blow us up on social media. So I'm excited to start working with her.
It's a whole new world now when you realize, like, you've got this idea, you're going to nurture this idea, you're going to turn it into an actual business, you're going to have employees, and then there's the yucky side, which is now I have to promote myself and the business on social media, and just it's like this whole other game that you have to play within social media, because it's not, we were talking about this, I guess maybe last podcast, gone are the days when you would just pull up a yellow page and everybody's business name would be A Texas Press Flowers, because you wanted to be first in the yellow pages. And now it's like the most outlandish stuff you can do sometimes is what gets eyes on you. But I think you're such a unique and niche business in the sense that who's your competition? Just other. I mean, there's how many businesses are like this out there?
Not many.
Yeah.
So that I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to grow so well so fast. There isn't any really here. There's one other person that does it, I believe, out in Burnett, and she does just very small amounts because it's just her. And then the same thing in San Antonio. There's one girl that does it as a hobby just for her. And then there's a couple in Dallas.
But it's like a product you didn't know you wanted or you needed, right? And what are some of the best reactions that you've gotten being able to personally hand something over to somebody, not like mailing it back, but personally handing it over?
Oh my goodness. Tears. I mean, just tears of happiness. And, a lot of them are tears of loved ones who have passed, and these flowers just bring back so many emotions. But it helps, it really helps that grieving process of knowing that, while I don't have that person, but I have these flowers from the memory of that day that we really celebrated that person. And so that's been truly amazing. Hugs and just glorious all around of words that I just can't even begin to express of how they make me feel of how well
that's really cool.
That just something as simple as pressed flowers that we design in a beautiful arrangement, can do for people.
That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a lot more capacity? Like if people listening to our podcast tripled your business, would you have to hire more employees, or can you guys ramp up for that?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually just recently hired a bunch of employees and brought a ton of people onto the team to get us ready for this next wedding season, because I have a feeling that it's going to be insane. So we are definitely prepared and ready and staffed. Of course, eventually we probably will grow even more. There's this theory that I have. It's called the fishbowl theory of kind of the area that you're in. We moved so we have an office right off of Old Fitzhugh Road. The front of our office faces Ranch Road 12. So you can probably see us as you're driving by, but it's about an 800 square foot office. From there, before then, we were at 100 square feet. So I was in a closet working by myself. And I was like, you know what? If I really want to grow this, I need to move into a bigger space. So myself, and I moved into this 800 square foot space. And within about 3 months.
That's really true.
We're almost outgrown it.
Oh.
If not, we have pretty much outgrown it. I was like, thankfully, our landlord's going to let us get a storage shed, but we have completely outgrown it. And so that theory of if you put a goldfish in a small container, they're only going to grow to the size
That's
of that
right.
container, or you put that same size goldfish into a huge container, it's going to grow even larger to the size of that container.
That's really cool. That's a big lesson for people to know. Yeah,
Yep.
And I think a lot of times people have a great idea and they just think of it as small. We've talked about that a lot on the podcast. They have an idea and they keep it small and manageable. And it's really, sky's the limit on a lot of these great ideas from people we've talked to.
What kind of outside help did you get as far as like when you wanted to grow or even start this? Did you go to like the Small Business Administration, or did you have any outside mentors that kind of helped you? Okay, this is how you got to set up your books, or this is how you got to set, or was it you just like literally, let's just do this, let's just wing it?
So yes, a lot of winging it. We actually did contact the Small Business Bureau of Texas, because that is a free resource that small businesses can use, and we did reach out to them, but it really wasn't fitting our needs. You know, not many people are creating pressed flower businesses, so we really weren't getting much help there. So it really was kind of like flying by the seat of our pants of just going out there, doing what we can. And thankfully my aunt, she's our CPA, so she helped us more on the side of accounting and things like that. But my husband, thankfully, he comes from a business background, so he can help us with the books and the marketing.
That's wonderful.
And that sort of thing.
Have you joined the chamber here in Austin, in Dripping?
I have not. Yeah, we've looked into it quite a bit.
I think it's a really good resource as well.
I was actually, that's one of the things I was thinking of. If somebody because these are beautiful, even if there's no emotional connection to them, have you ever thought about just having in your space, somebody can walk in and buy them as a gift? I mean, I could see, putting something like that up in an office, or
Wildflowers or something like that. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that?
So we've actually had quite a few walk-ins that are just like looking for a gift for their wife.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we do not have anything at the moment for that, just because we are so busy.
Maybe that's bigger space ideas.
I was going to say,
something that I definitely want to do in the future with the spring Texas flowers, because people see us, they're like, Texas pressed flowers, you don't have any bluebonnets here? And so that's definitely something that's in our goal sheet of adding on in the future.
So we talked about it in the monologue. When you start doing that, it's okay for you to pick bluebonnets. Everybody thinks it's illegal, but it's not.
I know.
You can pick them. But I think your story is really compelling too for other young women like yourself that just have this dream and this idea, and just because you spent all that time in college and it's not fulfilling to you, I think your story is very inspiring for somebody to listen to and say, hey, I had some bumps in the road, and I was scared to step outside of what I thought I was meant to do with my life. And here you've created for you and your husband a whole new life for you. And then, I don't know you before, but you seem like a very just content and happy person.
You seem like you're really enjoying this.
Oh yeah. I mean, every day is a new challenge, but like it's just so much fun. Just being able to use my hands to create something beautiful is it's fun. And I really enjoy it. And you're right, it is difficult leaving something that, you feel like you've been pulled into for amount of time. You put a lot of work and effort and money into, still paying off student loans because of it. But really, if you truly believe in something that you can create or give or have a service for, I say do it. You have one life to live. You want to be happy doing it. So
without a doubt.
And with that, I think that's how we end that show right there.
Yeah. Well, I got one more question. You surprised your husband with a trip to Montana and Yellowstone. How was that? Oh
my gosh, it was amazing, because kind of funny thing about us, we actually surprised each other with trips for our birthday. That's what we've done for the past few years, and it's just so much fun.
That's a big trip.
That is a big trip, because he's just been amazing to me. He's been an amazing husband, amazing supporter, and so, I was like, I want to do something that he's going to love, but he's not going to guess it, basically. It was a surprise up until the point that we went to the airport. Oh. Yeah. I was like, once we checked into...
And then you saw Kevin Costner there, and you're like, oh, we're going to Yellowstone.
Yeah, exactly. No, I created an itinerary, like minute by minute, because that's the kind of guy he is. He's very type A. Cool. He likes to organize. He likes Excel. So I did everything from arrive to the airport, eat dinner, hop on the plane, change planes. You know, everything was lined up, and it was just amazing. And once we got to Yellowstone and Montana area, we stayed in Big Sky. It was so picturesque. The white snow was
there,
it was so pure, and going into Yellowstone, you know, the only other national park we had been to was Big Bend, and so we really want to go to more national parks. But going there in the winter is just an experience in its own, because you can only go in by charter. So you can't go in there as like a normal person driving your car in. It's just unsafe just because of the snow conditions. But, you know, you have to be chartered. So it's all kind of private. I mean, there's a lot of people being chartered, but it's a lot less crazy as from what I hear Yellowstone usually is during the winter.
I bet that's a good time to go.
Yeah.
I bet it's gorgeous there that time of year.
Definitely. And the animals, the bison just walking next to you as you're in your bus.
That's cool.
It's crazy. Wow. So much fun.
Are you guys Yellowstone fans? TV show?
We actually have not watched it
You're
yet.
kidding.
I know. He's going to be mad at me every
it.
night. He's like, should we start it now?
You might want to start it on a Friday night, because you'll probably binge watch the first 3 seasons. It's really good. That's a great show.
Yeah, we're planning on it.
It's like Dallas, but like the
but good.
Dallas was really good.
Right,
Mallet.
you're dating yourself.
Dallas
Lewis.
was really good, because didn't we have this discussion about Beth and how
Beth is awesome.
She's vulgar.
She's
and
awesome.
She's just like, I want to punch her in the face. I do. That's not vulgar.
And on that note, let's
end.
Well, Elissa, this was great. I've learned a whole lot about pressed flowers that I didn't know, and it's really cool. Maybe this is another field trip we want to do.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to kind of see how this works.
I would. I'd like to see how the process works, for sure.
Of course, we'd love to have you.
Would you allow us to come over?
We'll sign NDAs.
Yeah. I'll get them ready.
No secrets told. Oh. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I hope that your time on the podcast brings you a ton more customers.
Definitely. Thank you all so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallet Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.